This is Common Sense Radio. Straightforward and no excuses.
All right. Come on now.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Call me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
What I said was perfectly right and spot on accurate.
Boy's got a mouth like a cannon, always shooting it all.
Stop. Yeah, stop. I mean, you're way off script.
Got it in me. Gonna quit until it all comes out.
Hey, boy!
Long education.
Yeah, you know, it's not cynical. It's common sense.
Pay attention to me when I'm talking to you.
I'm gonna rock the nation. Rock the nation.
Genuine, accountable, and raw. Here is Steve Gruber.
All right, and welcome to it, my friends. It's the Steve Gruber Show, 888-900-9966. 888-900-9966. The Steve Gruber Show. Our next guest is Nick Burns, the former Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs and Ambassador to Greece. One of the people who drafted the first sanctions against the nation of Iran, passed the United Nations Security Council in 2006 and 2007. And now the big push is on to get all the votes. And it looks at the, I mean, this is all a dog and pony show. This is a foregone conclusion. It makes no difference. There is no drama in the Iran deal. I don't even know why there is no drama. It's going to pass. Debbie Stabenow, our senator, is going to vote for it. It's the way it is. Nick Burns, welcome to the program. All right. Nick Burns, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
So I don't know if you heard me say that, but there really isn't any drama here. This is going to pass. It's a veto-proof majority, and yet the president continues to push for support, even though many people think this is a bad deal, a deal without proper, I guess, restraints and so forth. What would you make of this deal at this point? Let's start with that.
Well, I think it's probably just the end of the beginning. We're going to have to struggle with Iran in the Middle East for a long time to come. It's an aggressive power. It's undermining Israel. It's undermining the Gulf states and Saudi Arabia. So we need to have a strong American policy in the Middle East to contain Iran. So I think that drama continues. The nuclear deal, I support the deal. I think it'll freeze the Iranian program, the nuclear program, for the next 10 or 15 years. That's a real benefit to the United States. It does have some downside risks, however, the nuclear deal, because after year 15, all those restrictions that we'll place on the Iranians will begin to be taken off. And that's where really 2 presidents from now, we're going to have American leadership to continue to contain the Iranians and keep them away from a nuclear weapon. It's a compromise deal. And so in a compromise, obviously, a negotiation like this, you get a lot of what you want, but you don't get everything, and you give up something.
Do we get instant access? Hold on.
I work for both Republicans and Democrats. You've got to look at a deal like this, and you've got to weigh the benefits and risks. I think the benefits outweigh the risks.
So we have to give them 24 days notice before inspecting their nuclear sites, correct?
No, not correct.
So everybody's
all
lying.
Their current
everybody's
nuclear
lying,
sites will be under 24/7 inspection. There'll be cameras in their nuclear plants. Where this 24 days comes in is if, let's say, they decide to build, and they could do this. They could decide to do this, a secret facility, and we uncover it. Then there's a process in the International Atomic Energy Agency for all countries that if there's a challenge to a country, it can take up to 24 days to basically take action. But, my view is if they construct a secret nuclear facility and we catch them doing it, I think the deal's off. The American president, whoever it is, would have to abrogate the deal and walk away and return to a policy of confrontation.
You mean kind of like the way Barack Obama drew a line in the sand with Syria? That kind of an arrangement or something different?
No, I was thinking of something different. I actually thought that was a mistake by President Obama. I think he should have made good on his threat back in 2013, about 2 years ago. No, I think if the Iranians construct a secret nuclear facility, they've done it twice in the last 20 years. They've been uncovered both times. If they do that, now that they've signed this nuclear agreement, then I think the deal is off.
I don't think there is anybody.
So we have to have a tough-minded policy.
I don't think there is anybody. That's fine. I don't think there is anybody that actually believes that this president, while he is in office, if a secret nuclear facility was found, would do anything about it. I certainly don't. And you're not the first time.
I think he would.
Around the block. Well, based on what? His previous performances?
No, based on, I think, the fact that I think for President Obama, the Iran issue has always been probably his great priority in foreign policy. I think he's genuinely determined to keep Iran away from a nuclear weapon. And so I think the president would be very tough if the Iranians violated the agreement fundamentally. He'll be in office for another 18 months. We'll have another American president of either party. That person is going to be the one who has to implement the majority of this deal going forward for the 4 or 8 years after that. So we have to have some unity between Republicans and Democrats. We can disagree over the deal, but we have to have unity in trying to contain Iranian power going forward. And I think I've testified on the Hill, on Capitol Hill, 4 times for this agreement before congressional committees. I think Republicans and Democrats do want to be tough on the Iranians on some of their activities in the Middle East. So you got to try to find some common ground politically in Washington.
Uh-huh. So, I mean, it would seem to me that all the empirical evidence indicates that this president is basically impotent on the national and international stage primarily. Does Iran get ICBMs and the ability to build intercontinental ballistic missiles as a result of this deal, which really is a treaty, in fairness, but we'll call it what we need to, this deal? And furthermore, if it's such a great deal, then why the sales pitch?
There's an international ban on ballistic missile technology going to Iran for another 8 years. 8 years from now, when those UN restrictions are lifted, we ought to reimpose them in a coalition led by the United States, because the Iranians we can't trust the Iranians.
Well, then if we can't trust the Iranians, why are we making a deal with the Iranians? If we can't trust the Iranians, Nick, why are we making a deal with the Iranians?
We make deals. We have made deals in the past. Ronald Reagan did, for instance, with the Soviet Union.
I don't care about Ronald Reagan. You know, hold on, stop. That is such a red herring. That is such a red herring.
They're going to implement the deal, and that's why President Reagan, President Eisenhower, President Kennedy, President Clinton have all made similar compromises, but because we believe we've got the right capacity to be able to understand if they're cheating or not.
So just so I'm clear, Ronald Reagan, who's been dead for how long, made a deal once. That makes this deal. See, that's such a red herring. That is such a non-starter for an argument.
No, I'm just responding to your point.
Eisenhower?
I'm responding to your point that, presidents have to live in the real world. And the real world is sometimes we want to get our way. We want to advance the American interest. Sometimes you have to negotiate things. You can't just fight all the time. You can't just use the military all the time. And right now, I think we have a chance to stop the Iranians from becoming a nuclear weapons power by diplomacy. If the agreement fails, we've always got the ability to go back to the use of military force if that's the only option we have. But,
I agree. I think we should live in the real world. I agree with that.
And we should go forward with it.
I agree. I think we should live in the real world. Maybe we can take the Iranians a misspelled reset button and, do that. Hey, Nick, hold on a second. My sarcasm's just getting tuned up. If you'd like to stick for a moment, we can talk more about this on a Thursday edition of the Steve Gruber Show.
Covering Michigan and the world from his bunker below the bridge. Here is Steve Gruber.
I wanna fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle.
It's Thursday on the Steve Gruber Show. I've explained this before, and let me be blunt again. This is not a safe zone. This is not a place to come and stand on your soapbox and espouse your agenda and your views without being challenged. It doesn't work that way. So for Nicholas Burns, the former Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs and former ambassador to the nation of Greece, which is doing swimmingly well, apparently he decided not to continue. He was supposed to be here for a couple of segments with us. He decided not to continue after our conversation, which is, his choice. At any rate, I guess I would say this about the Iranian deal. If it is such a good deal, like he was telling us, and we've had others tell us, if it's such a good deal, why the sales pitch? If it was that good, you wouldn't need this full court press sales pitch, would you? You wouldn't have needed to go to the United Nations and do an end run around the Congress of the United States. You know, and if Barack Obama is so talented, maybe we could send, like I said, maybe Mr. Burns as a professor could go to Iran with his reset button. Maybe this time we could actually spell it correctly. Anyhow, he served in Washington for many years, and the fact of the matter is, this is not a great deal. In 8 years, less now, the clock's already running, Iran will have the ability to get intercontinental ballistic missiles. And if we have another president like Barack Obama, they will do nothing about it. Well, I believe Barack Obama would step in and stop this from happening if they broke the rules. Really? Based on what exactly? Based on his drawing a line in the sand with Syria and him stepping up in that country or anywhere else for that matter? He has a feckless foreign policy. He has a spineless foreign. He has an impotent foreign policy. That is, you know, the word. This is a guy who called ISIS the JV team. But no. He's really good. You should trust us on Iran. Really? Based on what exactly? On his previous performances? This is why Nicholas Burns didn't come back, because the conversation apparently wasn't amenable to his point of view. And I guess I wasn't, warm and fuzzy for him. So he ran along, and so it is. I guess I would ask you one more time why the congressional leaders from the state of Michigan, many of whom are still questioning the deal. Again, if it's such a good deal, why are Democrats and Republicans alike opposed to it? You tell me. You tell me, and tell me if I'm wrong. The phone number here is 888-900-9966, 888-900-9966. It's Thursday here on the Steve Gruber Show. You tell me your thoughts, and I'll interested in finding out more of what you're thinking. A nanny has now been charged with falsifying. We'll switch gears a little bit. A nanny charged falsifying the sighting of these cop killers in Illinois. She reported seeing suspicious men in an Illinois cornfield not too far from where these suspected cop killers were. Lake County Sheriff's deputies responded to the report that two men, one white, one black, were seen in a field about 5 miles south of Fox Lake, where local police lieutenant Charles Joseph Glinowitz was fatally shot and killed on Tuesday as the war on police continues in this country. Dozens of armed officers, K-9 units, and air support spent 5 hours searching the scene of Wednesday's sighting. However, Lake County Sheriff's Office said that the woman who reported the sighting admitted making it up to get attention from a family where she is employed as a nanny. Kristen Kiefer from Vernon Hills, charged with 2 counts of disorderly conduct, including a charge of falsifying a police report, which, by the way, is a felony. She's being held at the Lake County Jail pending a bond hearing. Apparently, some people just need that much attention. Apparently, people need that much attention just to falsify the report. But the bigger picture here is the war on police that seems to be entering a new phase here in this country. The war on police officers, the murder of this police officer came in just a few days after the execution of a sheriff's deputy in Texas, shot 15 times, was he while putting gas in his car. A trail camera found in a wooded area nearby in this Illinois, where this Illinois shooting took place, has a memory card in it. Anybody that hunts knows what I'm talking about. It's a trail cam. A trail cam was found nearby. The card has been taken looking for clues to these fugitives. But right now, it seems they are no closer to finding these cop-killing fugitives than they were yesterday. Many of the people in this area hold up in their homes. And hold up. Because they don't know where these guys are. They don't know if they were in a car, if they were on foot. Nobody knows. But the leads are pouring in. It is a massive manhunt, and it has increased in scope and intensity as they search for these killers in Illinois. Just a massive manhunt, and we'll keep you updated on that as we go forward. Again, the phone number here is 888-900-9966, 888-900-9966. This hour of the program brought to you by Mesa. Good health, good business, and great schools. Mesa bringing you this hour of the program. If you'd like to join the conversation, we encourage that. 888-900-9966, 888-900-9966. Still ahead today. James Gattuso, the Senior Research Fellow in Regulatory Policy at the Heritage Foundation, here to discuss why lawmakers worry that Obama is preparing last-minute regulatory blitz. I mean, I don't know how they would get that idea. I mean, he's trying to stop the oceans from rising on high. Also, Megan Olds will be here from the Paddle Antrim board member. Paddle Antrim joins forces for the Chain of Lakes Water Trail Stewardship. Not too far from where I am this day in the Northern Michigan studios of the Steve Gruber Show. You can also find out more at stevegruber.com. You can listen live by clicking the Listen Live button. Find podcasts. If you'd like to hear my conversation with Nick Burns, you can go to the podcast. A little bit later today, it'll all be there for you. 33 after the hour on a Thursday. Got my ire up today. It happens. The hotline is open for business. We've got James on the hotline. James, welcome to the program. Where are you calling from?
Calling from Perry.
All right. Perry, Michigan. Lovely part of the state. Hey, James, what's on your mind?
Yes, my comment on the nuclear deal is everybody's losing sight of the fact that, in my opinion, all they want is the big money that's going to be given back to them. And
well, I wanted to get into the money. Yeah, I wanted to get into the money, but old Nicholas ran on me.
Of that.
Yeah, it's true. What are they getting, $125 billion from the sanctions being removed? I mean, it's big economic boom time in Iran, plus the Russians are going in to make deals, plus the Chinese are going in to make deals. It just seems to me the United States is on the wrong end of this thing.
Yes, they are. I mean, yes, the nuclear weapons are important, but once they get the money, they're going to care less about having sanctions put back on
them. Correct. I mean, they're going to stockpile cash for a while, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, then they can finance terrorism, whatever they want to do again.
Yeah, exactly.
I see it's a totally bad deal unless they have restricted the money for years down the road, which I don't believe they have.
Yeah, I guess my question is, if it's, and I'll say this, then we got to run, but if it's such a great deal, then why does it have this full court press sales pitch going on if it was such a great deal? James, thanks for checking in today.
Yes.
Yeah, James checking in from Perry, Michigan today. Now, our next guest is James Gattuso. He is here as the Senior Research Fellow in Regulatory Policy at the Heritage Foundation. And as we were talking about before the break, here comes Obama and his regulatory thugs. Can I use the word thug, or is that like a sensitive word? Ivy says I can use it. I'm good. Anyhow, but the regulatory thugs coming, what light bulb can you use? How much water can your toilet use when it flushes? What about the mud puddle in your driveway? Should that be, controlled and what you do with it dictated by the Environmental Protection Agency? Well, if Obama had his way, the answer is they would control all of these things. James, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm still considering the use of the word thugs. I'm sure they're very nice people at home and they have dogs and pets and everything, but we just don't want them regulating us.
Yeah, all right. I'll take that word into consideration for review, but not until the program's over, and then I'll decide on my own. Anyhow, James, here's the thing. Barack Obama is up there in Alaska, or he was for the last few days, talking about the melting of glaciers and the rising of seawater and everything else. The fact of the matter is, if you go back to the the edicts of Marxism and so forth. The environment, controlling the environment is one of the cornerstones of controlling the population. And I look at all this regulation going, well, if they can control our light bulb, control how much water we use when we flush the toilet, control the very mud puddles in our driveway, I mean, they pretty much have control of everything that I do. And I think that really is a negative thing for America.
Yeah, well, I think so too, and it's across the board. I was looking at some of the upcoming regulations. There are going to be new rules on labels on pet food. There's going to be new rules on the energy that a vending machine can use.
What? Well, hold on. What do you mean energy? Who cares what energy a vending machine uses?
Well, the Department of Energy has energy efficiency rules that they are systematically imposing on every part of the economy. Essentially, everything that uses electricity of any level is going to be limited by federal law in terms of how much energy it can use. And vending machines is on the list for next year.
And what about pet food? What the government have to regulate pet? I mean, sure, they have to regulate the content that goes into pet food because, when China sent over poisonous pet food, a lot of animals died. But what do we need to do here in America? We don't have Purina doesn't have that problem. Science Diet doesn't seem to have much of a problem when I check it out. What's the problem here?
Well, I think it's what you said. There was concern a few years ago about imports from China, but the consumers have adjusted to that. Consumers know that what brands are reliable, what brands give you a discount, but it may not be as nutritious for your pet as others. And anything that's dangerous is already taken off the market. Further labels on pet food really just should create a paperwork burden, not really benefiting anyone.
And get right down to it. The one you haven't mentioned yet that I find extremely maddening are the new regulations going into effect on the dishwasher in our house, because heretofore dishwashers used about 5.5 to 6 gallons, and then a new regulation came along that said dishwashers can only use 3.3 gallons of water per cycle, and now that's being cut in half again. I guess, America, get used to dirty dishes, but when you're eating off those dirty dishes, just remember you're saving the planet. Thank God.
And it's not just your dishwasher. Refrigerators are on the list for this year, portable air conditioners, manufactured housing, the amount of energy that takes to live in your mobile home is going to be regulated. So,
which is important because people that live in mobile homes, they've got a lot of extra money to throw around, my guess, because people that live in mobile homes are right at the upper echelon of income in America. So them spending another...
That's right. That's right. I used to live in a mobile home myself when I was just out of college. I know I had a lot of spare income to throw around.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think we should target those folks for sure because, Barack Obama cares about the poor. So you really think that a lot of these things there's going to be a flurry of regulation, executive orders and so forth that come flying out between now and the end of his presidency?
Well, that's right, and it happens every time there's a presidential transition. It doesn't matter whether it's Democrat to Republican, Republican to Democrat, or even Republican to Republican. Almost every time there is a huge spike around election time and before the inauguration when political constraints, when the incumbent president has nothing to lose, they start clearing their desks and are going for broke on everything in a very real sense.
We're going to be broke. You see, the EPA has already shut down 9 coal-fired power plants in Michigan by April, and we don't have the capacity to make it up. And we've been buffaloed the whole time to be told that our rates won't increase and our electricity grid will be fine. But now we're learning that's not true. As we've known, anybody with common sense has known for a long time, you can't take 9 coal-fired power plants off the grid and nothing's going to cost more and it's all going to be fine. I mean, common sense dictates that we don't need all this regulation. We're on the line with James Gattuso, the Senior Research Fellow in Regulatory Policy at the Heritage Foundation. I guess, James, the question is, what can we do to protect ourselves? Go buy a new air conditioner and a new refrigerator today so we have one on layaway so we can have it when they're still work, or a dishwasher that still works, buy it now, or go to an old house and find a toilet that when you flush it, it actually works. What do we do?
Well, in the short run, that might be successful, but it's not going to last too long. I'm already running out of light bulbs, so hoarding is probably not the best long-term answer. We've got to change the rules under which regulations are adopted. The first step should be to get Congress back into the decision-making process. When we wrote the Constitution, the idea was that Congress made laws, not the administrator of the EPA or the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission. It was Congress, people elected by the people.
Yeah, we have to run, James. I greatly appreciate it. And I think hoarding is the answer. See, I'm going to disagree with you on that. It's the Steve Gruber Show on a Thursday.
Delivering Michigan common sense with a big dose of truth and honesty.
Let's think about something more entertaining, something a little bit different. Let's think about some things to do before the end of summer, which officially happens here in just a couple of days. But let's talk about some things that we could do, like go paddling around places like the Chain of Lakes. How about Megan Olds on the line with us from the Paddle Antrim board to talk more about paddling around and the water trails and all the great things that are going on for the Chain of Lakes and the water trail stewardship. Megan, welcome to the program.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm not too far from you today because I can see the sparkling shores of Lake Charlevoix where I'm sitting. So I'm not too far from the Chain of Lakes and the waterways and the things of northern Michigan that make it such a special place. First of all, tell us about this water trail and then about Paddle Antrim.
Absolutely. Well, Paddle Antrim is a charitable organization, and our primary purpose is to support efforts that maintain high-quality waterways in the Chain of Lakes and the rivers, lakes, and streams in Antrim County, Michigan. So we invest in water trail infrastructure, facilitate public access to those waterways in Antrim County, and promote ways that the public can help protect these great places.
And let me give you some our listeners some places of interest on here. Shorts Brewery, that's important in Bel Air, this part of the city. Elk Rapids and other cities. I just want to give people some reference points for those that aren't 100% familiar with this part of the state. Most people are familiar with Shorts. A lot of people know where, of course, Bel Air is, and Bel Air, and that's right not too far from Torch Lake and Clam Lake and all these parts of the state of Michigan that are fabulous, right?
They are, and what we're doing later this month, September 18th and 19th, is hosting our inaugural 2-day festival featuring those communities that you mentioned, Ellsworth, Central Lake, Bel Air, and Elk Rapids. And we're inviting people to come out and explore these places in a non-competitive kayak paddle event.
So tell me about the event. What's it going to include? How far are people going to go? How many people do you expect?
Well, the entire stretch over the 2-day period features 40 miles of the Chain of Lakes waterway in northern Michigan. So day one begins in Ellsworth, which is a wonderful, quaint little town that features working farmlands and, of course, the village where the launch site is located in Ellsworth. And people on that first day they'll travel through Ellsworth Lake and Wilson Lake, Benway Lake, and Hanley Lake. Folks can drop off their kayak the night before. If they're staying in town or any other place in the region, our volunteers will ensure that their kayaks are secure through the night, and we'll have a breakfast first thing in the morning, 7:15, in the community park. We'll have pancakes, eggs, sausage, fresh fruit, and coffee, and that's hosted by the Ellsworth Lions and Lioness Club. And then we'll have our safety debriefing at night at 9 o'clock and lunch at 9:15 that first day.
Right. So, there's a lot of things in parts of the state. The people that live in the state their entire lives don't realize the fabulous opportunities we have here. And so I'm encouraging folks through segments like this one to go out and find a really cool place in Michigan that you haven't visited before. Whether it's Elk Rapids or Torch Lake or Bel Air or Lake Charlevoix or the Chain of Lakes, which, by the way, is 75 miles of waterway consisting of 14 lakes. These are places you haven't seen yet. now's the time to create a memory to last a lifetime, from Central Lake and all over the state, from Antrim County and beyond. And this is part of the message we want to send out on the Steve Gruber Show, that Michigan has all these fabulous places, Megan, that people need to see.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. What we really want to do is celebrate this community, these great places, these great towns that, are part of our chain of lakes, and also just help people get out to explore these places they may not have visited or may not have known how to connect with before. So the event is designed just for people to get out there and have fun, have your last summer hurrah, and get out there on the water and explore a place in Michigan that, like you said, where you can make some memories and maybe fall in love with something new.
Maybe it should be the Michigan bucket list, you see.
I like it.
The Michigan bucket list. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can find 50 things in Michigan to put on a bucket list.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. From the Henry Ford down in the Detroit area to Lake St. Clair to Antrim County to the Mackinac Bridge to Iron Mountain. I mean, we can find all sorts of fabulous places, and I think what you're doing, Megan, is to be applauded. It's called Paddle Antrim. Now, if people are going to find out more, if they're listening, going, you know what, I'd kind of like to do that, or find out more about it going forward. Maybe I don't have time this year, but certainly would like to consider it going forward. Where can they go? Is there a website, a place where they can find more information and get excited?
Yes. We have a website. It's www.paddleantrim.com. And if folks are still interested, tomorrow is our last day for registration for this year's event. The cost is $45 per day or $72 for both days. We have about 100 people registered so far over the 2-day period, and we still have room for more.
So paddleantrim.com. The weather was a little bumpy up here this morning, as you know, Megan, but by tomorrow the forecast clears out pretty nicely.
I hope so. We're looking forward to it, and I haven't paddled that whole stretch myself, so I'm looking forward to getting out and seeing some new things as well.
So you're going to get out there and mix it up as well?
Absolutely. I would not miss it.
All right. Megan Olds, thank you so much, and hats off again to this sort of an initiative.
It's a whole community effort. We couldn't do it without the support of our sponsors and without the support of our local business communities in each of these towns. This is really their event, and we're just honored to be working on it together.
All right, Megan Olds, paddleantrim.com. There's still time, $45 a day, $72 for the whole shot, and the weather's supposed to be spectacular. Do something different for Labor Day. Megan, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. There you have it. Go find out something great in Michigan. Take it off your Michigan bucket list. I'm telling you, it's what you need to do. I'm Steve Gruber. This is The Steve Gruber Show.